This was, I don't know if, this was really early. This was like the first day of my career. I don't even know if you were there then. The first day of my career with them.
Wow, that I bet you did you have some second thoughts at that point, like what I get into?
I'm kind of adventurous. I kind of thought, oh, this is something I could write about, eventually.
The creative mind working.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And the money was good,
they can't beat that. Flash forward now, okay, because now we've gone through the whole death row thing. Pac's there, working 24/7.
Right.
He's just nonstop. I mean, in the studio all the time. Tell me about your day-to-day interaction with
Yeah, well,
Pac.
I understood that eventually. At first, my jaws were very tight on the set because naturally, as I said, I'm always on the phone. The day after Pac got out and Death Row, I'll say we or Suge, had put him up in the Peninsula Hotel. I had made several interviews, which you eventually saw my interviews in the movie, Tupac Resurrection. But I call out there and they said, oh, he's not here. He's in Reseda. He's been in Reseda since he went there last night or something like that. I said, well, I'll be damned. People wanted to interview the fact that he was just out, which eventually you did see.
Right.
The one I did on Venice Beach, the one I did in Reseda.
Sure.
I started doing them at the Peninsula so I could wake him up and bring his butt up to one of those suites. And I'd have all the lunch and everything. I had the initial CNN and different things like that there. And he was, I don't want that. I want, and this is the thing I tell everybody. He wanted his shrimp cocktail for breakfast. And so I had to send somebody back down to his room to get the 2 shrimp cocktails. When I had everything you'd want to eat in the suite. I had MTV there and CNN there that morning. But that's what I had to do because of his work ethic. And the fact, when I was able to get interviews, I'd have to stockpile them in a way and get a location where I could have them and catch him on the fly, because he was going back to finish All Eyes on Me, which he did in, I don't know, a couple of days, I guess, 2 or 3, a week at least. And the thing is, people say, oh yeah, well, he was in Dannemora long enough to have written all this stuff. None of this was written. Not one word of it was written. He had it in his head, in his mind, and in his heart. It just spewed out when he got out.
Wow.
I sometimes get a little misty about these things, but this is the spiritual side of him. And he was a Gemini, and there were 2 sides. I was privy to both because, like I said, I was the oldest person at death row, and I did have a couple of conversations with him. One of which he wanted to kill me because I told him what I felt. And I've done the same thing with Suge. I used to do it with Suge, and people say, you talk to Suge like that? I'd be scared. I said, well, I'm not scared of him. I've got a son his age. And I would tell him off, And he thought it was the funniest thing. He would just laugh because he thought I had a lot of nerve getting in his face.
Now, so after, we get through are you okay? You want to stop down for a minute?
No, I'm all right.
Okay.
I want to get through.
Okay. Now, jumping forward to probably one of the worst things that you'd want to have to hear personally and professionally, you hear, okay, there's a call that comes in. Both Suge and Tupac have been shot at or shot in Vegas now. Were you there or were
I don't
you
get a call.
You didn't get a call? How did that
No,
work?
I
would have thought you'd have been on the short list for that.
I was. I'll tell you about it. But it wasn't a call. I didn't, the first time, the Bruno fight, I had tickets and I ended up giving a ticket to the girl who was writing my story for the New York Times Magazine. The second time around, I said, no, I won't deal with a ticket because I had so many people coming from New York. I had Newsweek and Time. I had all of the majors, magazines and newspapers coming to Club 662. Because after the fight, Tupac was going to entertain, along with several other people. I still have the poster from that. So I had gone over early, earlier than Frank and the Outlaws and any of them. I had gone early over to 662, and I had greeted my press and everything. So they're having cocktails. I had done big blow-ups for this occasion of all the artists that were down this long thing. My son was with me, and we were taking some pictures. Risky was there, taking some pictures, and all of a sudden, it was who I liked very much, the West Indian guy.
Kenny.
Kenny came over to me and whispered in my ear, Papa G, Tupac and Suge have been shot and they're in the hospital and I think you should go. So I didn't say anything to anybody but my son. I didn't even say to Risky or Greg who were in there. I said to my son, come with me. So I said to him, when we walk out the front door, there were still a lot of people there, and Pryce was saying, well, where are you going? I said, have another drink, I'll be right back, this is blah, blah, blah. Because think about it, I had all the national press there with me. Had they gotten wind of that, there would have been an onslaught. So I said to David, you go out and get a cab. I usually travel in a town car, so I had a town car from CLS there. But I came out and greeted a couple of people and just act like I was coming out. I opened up and smoked a cigarette while my son went and got a cab and pulled up a little further than, and I ran around the corner, got in the cab, and we went to the hospital. First thing I did was go in to see Suge, and then I fed Suge with a straw. This was before, I think Maxine and them were there. They had told her because his family was down there for that time too, his mother, Maxine Knight, and so on. So I went in, he said, Papa Hollywood, and I saw this thing and I thought it was worse than, I didn't panic or anything. But he said, I said, anything I can do for you? He said, I'm thirsty, so I got him, I think it was a 7-Up or Sprite or something, with a straw, and I fed him.
Did he get shot or was there?
Yeah, there was blood, but I couldn't tell it wasn't deep. Or they say, no, he did get shot. I don't know if it was a graze or what, but there was blood up there when I went in the room.
Yeah.
So then I went and to see Tupac. They wouldn't let me close to Tupac, but they did let me see in there. So that's when Kenner came to me and said, do you have keys to Death Row, to the offices? He said, well, then you get on the next thing smoking, here, you need some money? I said, no, I got money, and go back to L.A. And so I told David stayed in my room at the Egyptian hotel of the Luxor, and I said, bring my stuff. I didn't even bring my stuff with me. I just got to grab a small bag, my briefcase, and left all those people and everything at 662.
Wow.
Wondering where in the hell I was. I went back and opened up the office. Now, I also had someone from Vibe magazine who was going to interview Snoop, who didn't go to the trial. This guy had been in the W Marquis Hotel over there in Westwood for 3 or 4 days. I left him there while I went to Vegas. When I got back, he was still there, and so he was, upset about being ignored all that time. So I said, okay, I'll come and have lunch with you. We'll go out to dinner tonight. In the meantime, come on to my office. So he sat in my office for 3 and 4 days. Little bit known to me, I didn't know he was listening and taking down everything I was saying to people around the world about Tupac. He was there the day that Tupac died or when they disconnected Tupac. And I said, oh, he's really gone. All of this information ends up in a book called Have Gun Will Travel.
Ronan Rowe.
Ronan Rowe, which is not his real name. I can't even remember his real name. It was a Puerto Rican guy. Yeah. Everything he described me, what I smoked, everything I said, I was in shock. I had no idea because it was supposed to be a Snoop interview, see.
So he just caught that by accident.
He was writing a book about Death Row, you see. But see, I hold, what's her name, and them at Vibe responsible for it because he was working with Vibe and they sent him out to do one thing and he did something else.
Got it. He was doing his own.
Vibe had a problem with me anyway, and the biggest selling cover they've had to this very day, and I told Quincy this once, was the Death Row cover that I did. And I put together, they fought me about putting it together.
Really?
Risky did a painting. Oh, they didn't want to do any of it. Those were all individual photographs that I had done. And I put them together, and I put them together on the inside.
He got that.
Tupac and them just loved it. They jumped up and screamed. They were, Suge had moved into the peninsula near Tupac. He moved in one of those suites, so they were all over there. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And so when I got an advance copy of the magazine, I took it over there. Those two were like two little girls jumping up and screaming and pulling. They tore it up. Let me see it. No, let me see it. They did this whole thing, because they tore up that suite anyway up there.